Good, we're on. Good afternoon, I'm Nat Wood. You're watching 30 frames a second. Many of you know that. Before we start, I just want to express sadness in the news that our beloved soldier, and educator and teacher, Alambe Brath, passed away at the age of 77. Sam Greenlee, I think, is the brother who wrote Spook Who Sat by the Door. He also passed. He was in his 80s. Alambe was a personal mentor to a lot of us, a friend, a comrade. And before I talk about Alambe the soldier, I want to talk about Alambe the human being. Alambe was one of the funniest, most generous, most caring, most down-to-earth, beautiful brothers that ever lived in life. I mean, brother to brother, we will miss Alambe Brath. So we want to give our condolences to his family. His family are all beautiful people. I've met his son, his wife, his brothers. They're all dynamite people, and we are saddened to report that our dear beloved soldier Alambe Brath passed yesterday. With that, I also want to say that the show today, we have a roll-in, and when we come back from the roll-in, I'll introduce my guests. We've been talking about hip-hop. We've been talking about the Black Spades and the beginnings of hip-hop. And so we want to run this roll-in, if David has it back there, where we have KRS elaborating on the beginnings of hip-hop. And then we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk to my guests. I'm going to introduce my guests, and we're going to talk about the Black Spades, the beginning of hip-hop, how it morphed. So, Dave, if you got it, run it.
Who was in a gang called the Black Spades. This guy was the most ruthless gang member in New York. He was the head of the Black Spades in New York. Ruthless gang in 1973 and 4 and 5. This dude, now Afrika Bambaataa, came back to the United States enlightened. He's the head of all the gangs in New York. He comes back and says, gangs are over. Finished, done with. We got a new thing now called Zulu Nation. And all the gangs joined Zulu Nation. Put down the rag, the guns, the this, the that, put it all down. And the new philosophy in the New York streets in 1974 was peace, love, unity, and having fun.
Audio faux pas and whatnot, but we're back. It's live TV, and you know, in live TV, we don't care. We just, it's about the content, not necessarily the way it comes out. And it might have came out really cool to you. Today my guest is Fat Mike. He's one of the founders of the Black Spades. And he's going to talk about the Black Spades, the beginning of Black Spades, the inconsistencies of some of the things that krs-one related in terms of how it came to be, how it morphed into what it is, and the beginnings of hip-hop. So with that, I am proud and pleased to introduce to you the one, the only, the inimitable Fat Mike. What's up, my brother? How you doing? Everything is good.
Yeah, I mean, that was preposterous with krs-one said. He came from Africa, Bambaataa came from Africa and united all the gangs. No, it wasn't even done that way.
All right, now he said, let's take some of this stuff step by step. He said something about, I don't know if you caught it all, but there was some sort of contest or essay or something where Bambaataa won a trip to Africa, and he came back to Africa and in 1974 united all the gangs under one banner of peace and love, that there was these violent gangs that permeated New York, and this Moses type figure came back from Africa and united all these gangs under one banner, Zulu Nation, and that was
no. Number one, I said it straight. When the gangs started, for number one, when we started like settling down the gangs. We all got jobs. We all started having kids, you know, and the thing about it, we all just went our little separate ways, but we still was a member of the Black Spades, you know? And by him saying that he came back and united to the Zulu Nation, no, he did not do that. What happened, so far as I know, what happened was a friend of ours and the Ghetto Brothers got killed in Black Benji. That slowed it down. And so that's when, because he wanted to unite it, just peace. He said there's no sense for us blacks and Puerto Ricans fighting amongst each other.
Right.
You know? And he got killed. Like I said, he got killed. And so we started thinking, you know, gang members, all leaders of different gangs. Well, yeah, why should we fight amongst each other? Where the Caucasians, we can go here, we can go there, but the Caucasians wouldn't let us go there, you know? So we started, you know, just easing off. That's how the gang started slowing down, stopped doing all the rough craziness, you understand? We started like leveling off, saying, why should we fight amongst each other? Now, him starting the Zulu Nation, that was a beautiful thing. But he didn't start the Zulu Nation, and other gangs went to him. Far as I know, it was people in his project, in Bronx River.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Bronx River, that's what the Zulu Nation was.
Yeah.
And other people's, now I don't believe it's other gang members that joined the Zulu Nation, because he had a younger crowd.
Right.
He had a younger crowd.
Right.
Because the gangs that I was coming with, we were much older than him, you know? And besides all of that, we just, like I said, we all like got older. We all started getting jobs. We started using our minds.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We was, and all the craziness, the fighting amongst each other and all of that, we didn't really do that.
Let me try to add some context to this, because when you talk about 1974 and you're talking about New York, or whether you're talking about the Bronx or Harlem or Brooklyn or any place, you have to put it in context of what was happening that caused different things to happen.
True.
In 1974, a couple of things were going on within the city, and the country itself.
Right,
First of all, within the city, we were just coming off of an incredible heroin epidemic.
Definitely.
And if I remember, in '74, that was about the time the city of New York was going bankrupt. So it was declaring bankruptcy.
Right.
So there was a lot of factors that created violence in the community that had nothing to do with gangs per se. That had more to do with the influx of drugs in schools. For the first time, drugs was available to kids. It was the only thing around. Whole families, whole blocks, whole communities were being like consumed with this plague, this epidemic plague. And in '74, you were just starting to come off of this. So the natural progression of things would have led to sort of a calming down effect, where a lot of people had lost loved ones, lost brothers and sisters to this plague, and it was starting to subside. The money was going out because the city was declaring bankruptcy. So a job and a better way of life in and of itself was very attractive if you could get it. There was a few programs in place. There was a CETA program in place. I think Haryu was just starting to go out of business. So the neighborhood Haryu Act jobs was available for kids was not as readily available as they had been. And the young people were gravitating toward bringing this music. I don't even think it was called hip hop. It was like they were like
called hip hop.
Right.
It was called just certain in your area, in your community, where I was from, Bronxdale, Soundview area. We used to just bring music out. You understand? Like I said, Mario, Disco King Mario, brought out, as far as I know, started that music, bringing it out, you know, bringing it out like first we played in our carriage room.
Right, right.
Then we would play it out in our little playground.
Right, right.
Then I remember the lady named Joan lent Mario the money to rent the center.
Wow, wow.
You know?
Wow.
She actually lent him the money to play music inside a center, inside a school, rather than school.
Right,
In school.
right.
We went into school gym,
Right,
and we started playing music. And that hip-hop wasn't even thought about.
right.
It was just playing
right,
music,
Right,
having fun.
right,
That's what it was, the community. And when they hear Disco King playing music,
right.
people from everywhere came.
Right, right, right.
So all that hip-hop,
Right.
it was no hip-hop.
Right,
It
right.
was just playing music, having fun.
Yeah, because it was like our younger brothers, because I'll be 63 this year. So it was almost like our younger brothers and predominantly our younger brothers, but our younger brothers and sisters were taking what we did to another degree.
There you go. And instead of us being out there fighting amongst each other,
Right, right,
robbing and stealing,
right,
doing crazy stuff, we was just playing music,
right, right.
getting together, getting along. We didn't judge about who was the color, whatever. If you wanted to play music, listen to music, have fun, that's what it was. You understand? And the breakdancing, because I'm going to tell you, as far as I feel breakdancing came from, the Spades used to go to parties, and we always used to get like, on the floor.
Yeah.
And like, there's wild dances.
Yeah.
Spinning on the floor and doing all of that, And we used to call that wild dancing.
Right, right.
That's what it was, wild dancing.
Right.
So all of a sudden, they started saying, look at them guys breaking.
Right, right.
You know?
Right.
And that's how I figured out breakdance came upon.
Right,
Then
right.
they would do contests, outside, who was better. And, we would judge who was better, who did it better, who did it, Like I said, hip-hop, that was news to me.
Right, 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 right.
All it came from playing music,
Right.
having fun.
Even the breakdancing thing seemed like a natural extension of what was going on, because like my generation, it's sort of like graduated from like dancing together, holding on, right, grinding. They call me because I grind so fine, And it became like two people dancing together, but not actually holding each other. And then it went into the skate and kung fu fighting. So like breakdancing sort of was like a continuation of that tradition taken to the nth degree. Whereas we came out, we was doing this stuff.
Yeah.
They really started like spinning and taking it to another degree.
And like I said, I figured that Mario started. Like when you go to remember roller skating?
Yeah.
Mario used to
right,
play.
I remember that.
Mario used to play
right.
in the roller skating ring.
Right,
He's the first one.
That became big and
right,
really big.
Every skating ring there was,
Right.
Mario used to play in it.
Right.
Cool D used to go there.
Right.
Cool Herc and them used to go there.
Right, I remember
You
that.
understand?
I remember that.
Mario brought that trends in.
Right.
Right. And like I said, all that music came from Disco King Mario.
Right.
Right. For me, him not to get the recognition,
right.
He never really had the money to build himself up.
Yeah, that is.
And money was, you didn't have the money.
Always.
You didn't have the money.
Always.
You're not gonna be recognized.
Right.
You're just gonna be recognized in that little part of the neighborhood.
Correct.
Correct. And a lot of them that did have it, they got big behind it.
Right.
Right. And like you said, Bambaataa coming from Africa, I never knew about that.
Yeah, I never knew anything about
well,
it. Contest
to me, the way
he's
saying it is that's like saying Martin Luther King is.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know
crazy.
Anybody who could
it's crazy. I don't see one person coming from wherever he said he came from, Africa, whatever, and united all the gangs.
Yeah, that's kind of deep.
If he did do it,
that's kind of deep.
You got to call him Moses or something.
That beyond Moses. I don't know anybody. That's beyond Moses. That's beyond Jesus. That's beyond. I don't know who that is.
So I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
Zulu
Nation. Right.
But that was young. Like I said, there was younger people with him in the Zulu Nation.
Right.
Not the people that say our age.
Right.
Like I said, all of us, we got to start having kids.
Right.
We started getting jobs.
Right.
We're always working at Pathmark.
Right, I remember.
You know?
I remember for tips back in.
That's how we first started.
I remember.
I'm gonna tell you how I started.
Yeah,
I started sweeping the garage. I mean, sweeping the whole parking lot.
Right.
And the man came outside. Would you like to work inside?
Right.
Why not?
Right.
And I worked for them for 21 years.
Yeah, I remember. Trust me, I remember. I remember.
And, you know, like I said, you know, things back then, it was hard. It was hard. Like you said, it was an epidemic, a drug epidemic.
Right.
And, you know, a real drug epidemic.
Right. Right.
But like I said, we kept that out of the neighborhood.
Right. Right.
You know, out of the neighborhood. We kept that out of the neighborhood.
Right.
We made sure our parents could sit down, have fun, and watch Mario play music outside.
Right. And when I say epidemic, I truly mean epidemic.
Yeah.
I don't think there was one building. Forget about block. I don't think there was one building that was untouched. I don't think there was one family that was untouched. It was everywhere and whatnot. And everything that came out of it came out of that. First of all, it was. We find out that it was actually the epidemic itself was conceived and planned specifically to eliminate blacks
and Puerto Ricans.
Right, blacks and Puerto Ricans. A political mindset to destroy that mindset.
Destroy us completely.
Right.
Give it to them.
Correct.
Kill themselves.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
We had burnt out buildings.
Right.
We had blocks where blocks where
they stayed burned out for decades.
Decades.
Right.
You know, and especially the South Bronx.
Right.
You know, and you had people selling drugs out of the burnt out buildings.
Right.
You know, we try to eliminate that.
Right.
You know?
Right. And you're talking about a time where I think the Bronx was like the most feared borough in all of New York.
At that time, it was.
At
that time, it was.
I mean, you know, you take
Not
your
only
chances in
because-
Brooklyn before you. I mean, Harlem was fast, but like the Bronx was road warrior territory. If you didn't know people, you stayed out of the Bronx.
You stay out of the Bronx.
That's
the truth. That's the truth. You know, it was rough. It was rough. But you know, we try to maintain. Back then, we try to maintain certain areas to be clean.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we didn't like. We were known. The Spades were known for being rough.
Right.
And tearing up things.
Right.
No, we didn't do that.
Right.
That's their misconception of people
saying
that.
Yeah.
If they would have came and talked to us,
and
had us, like sat us down and talked to us, my mother found out I was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
She seen me on Eyewitness News.
Wow.
Talking to Gil Nova.
Wow.
You know? I mean, I felt it when I got home, but you know.
I'm going through some of that.
You know, but the thing is, we was, like I said, we were good, you know, like in the projects, Bronxdale projects, Bronxdale Soundview, Bronx River, Monroe, Classic Point. This is a safe haven. Parents could come out. You know, we would never disrespect them. You know, we would never do nothing like they mind us for playing music and having fun in the neighborhood. Trying to, even though we were kids, we tried to make the younger generation following our footsteps. We would never just show them the bad side, only the good side.
Well, I think that goes part. When you come from a place where it's rough, you tend and it's not just you, but everything around you and all the people that you love, your younger brothers and sisters and whatnot. You tend to like want something better and something more, even if not for yourself, for them. Tell me. Give me some insight as to how this thing that was the Black Spades. It comes out of this time where it's literally a world gone mad in New York. This drug epidemic, this bankruptcy, this lack of jobs, this existence, this road warrior existence, this heaped upon a whole generation of black and brown kids, really hard in New York, probably harder in New York than a lot of other places. How it went from that to coming up with this culture of music, this culture of dance that morphed itself, and didn't just morph itself, it grew because
Exploded.
it came out of the Bronx, but it also
Exploded.
ended up in places like Spanish.
Harlem,
Right.
exploded.
How did this happen?
Far as the way I could see it is that how it happened, one person, I can say one person, and that was Mario. This rookie Mario. A man that came from down south now. He came from North Carolina.
Wow.
We laughed at him. We laughed at him because he came with pointed shoes.
Yeah,
tight pants.
Right.
You know, like
country.
A country.
Right, country.
And all he would do, even though he was part of the game,
Right.
but all he wanted to do is play music.
Right.
Listen to music.
Right.
He would get, back then, it was no FM.
Right.
AM.
It wasn't.
It
You're
was no
right.
FM.
You're right.
It was
You're
AM.
right.
And he would have a little radio and
Right.
playing music,
Right.
dancing, and all that.
Right.
So all of a sudden, he used to tell us, "Yo, I'm gonna play some music. I'm gonna get me 2 turntables."
Right.
And what he did,
Right.
that's exactly what he did.
Right.
He got 2 little messed up turntables,
Yeah.
a little mixer,
Yeah.
speakers no bigger than this.
Yeah, I remember.
And first he started playing, like I said,
Yeah.
playing in the carriage room in
Yeah.
the project. Then all of a sudden, he said, the first person I ever heard say he wanted 2 tables to come out of a coffin.
Yeah. Wow.
Come out of a coffin. Then all of a sudden, like I said, he started playing music.
Right.
And as he was playing, people started gathering around.
Right.
People started enjoying it.
Right.
Even the elderly people was enjoying it. But they could sit down
Well,
outside.
yeah.
And they could see, instead of seeing people running around throwing rocks and
Right.
doing stuff, sitting down actually dancing,
Right.
you know,
Right.
having
And
fun.
it was a natural extension of what we were already doing. I mean, we already were going to like places like Van Cortlandt with and throwing picnics. We were already having block parties.
and all
I
that.
mean, where like the old and the young would dance to.
Right,
One
we would have
of the unique things though was the way that it developed into playing turntables as percussion instruments in and of themselves. Because we were always inventing ways to come up with instruments. If you couldn't afford to buy drums, you'd invent drums.
You would make some way of make something.
Grits boxes or whatever.
Like you were saying, picnics,
Right,
barbecue.
right.
We had radios.
Right. Correct.
We had radios. Then all of a
correct.
sudden, Mario, we go to picnics, barbecue, Mario would bring turntables out.
Right.
And then people from other picnics and barbecues would come over.
Right.
And they'd be amazed.
Right.
This guy's playing this kind of music out here.
Yeah.
And look at the people he's gathering
Yeah.
around. Put a smile on people's faces.
Yeah.
Then you see other people, why can't we do it?
Yeah.
So that's how I figured how it started evolving.
Yeah.
You know? And like I said, a little community with Bronxdale Project.
Yeah.
Like I said, a man from down south,
Yeah.
a hick,
Yeah.
you know, playing 2 little turntables,
Yeah.
2 little speakers,
Yeah.
and trying to grow it big.
Yeah.
Like you said, but you didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So he had to do the best what he had.
Right.
And then he ran into a friend
Right.
who did. He had a little bit more money. He started bringing the bigger stuff.
Right.
And it started getting bigger.
Right.
Then they
It
started
really
playing big
develops. Right.
centers.
Right. It
They started playing
really
in clubs.
develops. Right.
You know? That's how all that evolved.
Right.
So all them, they talking about hip hop started over here and over there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Well,
hip hop.
we knew it
wasn't
came out.
hip- it
Anybody
wasn't
who was
hip-hop.
alive during that time, anybody who was actually alive during that time and old enough to know what was going on in the city,
Right.
knew that this phenomenon that they call rap now or
Right.
hip hop now,
Right.
this thing actually started in the Bronx. We all
Right.
knew that.
We all knew that. Yeah,
you know. They started talking about it came out of here, came out of there, but the place that I remember it coming from is the Bronx.
Yes. It came from
Right,
Bronx,
right.
Soundview area,
Right,
and it came from Bronxdale,
right.
which now they changed the name to Sotomayor.
Oh my God! All right.
You know?
Yeah, we've arrived.
You know what I'm saying? And like I was saying, you know, we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, back then. We didn't have to, you know, go out there and do crazy stuff and all that. We was in our environment, playing good music, having fun with our community. And whoever wanted to come in our community had fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how cool Herc, the rest of them came.
Right, right,
Listening to Mario playing.
right,
So they all got it,
right, right,
and they started getting bigger, and
Right.
bigger, and bigger.
right.
You know? But like I was saying, we all started that. It started in the Bronx there.
Right, right,
It all started in the Bronx there projects. But one person, like I keep saying, married.
right. What's interesting about what Mario did, what's fascinating about what Mario did was that he actually took all the components of everything we were doing and made it like one unit.
Right.
They came up with this thing where you could take the radio around with these batteries, and then they put like a turntable on it where we would
Right,
have
you
to
could
tape
be
the quarter on it to make it make the record
make it play right.
right, so the
You
record
know?
wouldn't skip. So we would start doing this stuff in the park and whatnot, and people would like play congas and bongos and stuff like that, and we'd play like old Motown records and whatnot,
and all
and
that.
carry this big thing around and play like some 45s. And then this phenomenon happened where they were able to bring the turntables. They were like really, really inventive because they
Well, we
would
used to
jack
get
into the
the
street
lamp post,
light,
to
the
the lamp
lamp
post.
post to get the electricity. And they started bringing out these albums, and then they replaced the conga guy with
guys.
actual like turning the turntables
Turntable and all
themselves
that.
into
There you
like
go.
a percussive instrument, you know. So it was black culture. It was black urban culture,
That's what it
street
was.
culture.
That's what it was.
Going from one thing, just like every generation of blacks would do, especially urban blacks,
Right.
whatever the generation before us did, we would find a way to add on to that and make it something else, something else, something else, something else, you know.
And the reason why all this came upon is because at one time we could not even go to certain areas.
Right, right,
For the
right,
Caucasians.
right, right.
They wouldn't allow us.
Right, right, right.
You know?
Right.
We couldn't go certain places down in the Bronx.
Right.
You couldn't go past White Plains Road.
Right, right.
You couldn't go past Morrison Avenue.
We
That's
couldn't go
time.
across the bridge on
Right.
155th
Fifth
Street,
Street.
right? Because
You know?
yeah,
You couldn't go to Pelham Park.
right, right,
Pelham Park.
right. Couldn't
Couldn't
go
go there.
what's the oh, okay. I think we got phone calls. We don't have the teleprompter up. But the Grand Concourse, we couldn't go
Don't
up
go
there.
there? Oh, no, definitely couldn't go to
You
Grand
get killed on
Concourse.
the right,
What,
right,
the
right.
Gold Beginnings? I
Right,
mean,
right.
Irish
That's
boy,
right.
they-
That's
and,
right. Spanish
time.
Harlem, the Italians controlled
So,
116th
yes, they did.
Street. You
All
couldn't go
over
there,
there.
right?
Pleasant.
Right,
Pleasant.
Pleasant, right. Pleasant Avenue,
You
right.
couldn't go over
That was
there.
like the headquarters,
Right.
their
And
stronghold.
so, you know, we just...
Yeah, okay, caller. How you doing? Good afternoon. You have any questions for my guest here?
Say it again?
My guest, we're talking about the beginning of hip hop and urban
look
culture
here.
and stuff like that.
You remember a style called the Bebop Santa Claus?
Yeah.
That was beginning. That was the beginning of rap and hip hop and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was
Yeah.
the jazz side, the
He's talking
Bebop
about
Santa
rap.
Claus.
Yeah. I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was.
Have a good one. I'll call you back later.
All right, thank you. He was
All right, peace.
like I was saying before, urban culture
Right.
always takes one thing and morphs it into another and another and another.
Yeah, true
And if you remember what he's making reference to is like the generation, the jazz generation, that started doing things like Signifying Monkey and stuff like
Right.
that.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
becoming morphing
Morphing
into different things. So there's a continuance of African culture, especially in urban black urban communities, that
Right.
just takes from one generation and turns it into something else, it turns it into something else, it turns it into something else. You know, we were referring to that when I was talking about using the turntables as conga drums and stuff like that. But it's exactly what he was talking about there.
True, and you're right, because you remember saying back then, they also remember they used to sing outside.
Correct. To
harmonize.
Correct.
You know, that's my area.
Correct.
You know, from there I went from, like you said, morph to different cultures.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
But I remember when they used to do up in front of a liquor store.
Right.
In the park.
Right. Yeah, I came out to tenements. We used to. I used to get into so much trouble because my mother would send me to the store.
And you had to stop just to listen to them.
Right.
I got in trouble too.
With them,
I got in trouble too.
And she would hear me. You know.
Didn't I take you somewhere?
Right. That's right. That's
and you know
exactly what she said. Right.
Like you said, like Mario, what he did, like I said, came from.
Hi, caller. Good afternoon. You have a question,
Brother Wood?
Hey, brother, how you doing?
All right, this is Brother Rod calling from Harlem.
Excellent, brother. How you doing?
All right, man. You know, like the brother was saying with the hip hop when it first came out, you know, it made people happy. You know, it made people want to dance. It made people, whatever problems they had, they forgot about them, and they just got along. This stuff that they call in hip hop today, it makes people mad. It makes people angry. It gives people an attitude. It gives them a swagger where it's very detrimental, and we wind up hurting each other. And these people that are putting this stuff out, it's unbelievable. And you know, there's a time where the bitches and the hoes thing that's played out, and they've got to change the direction of that music and put it to something more positive that young kids can listen to. You know, Bernie Mac used to call it the happy rap, okay, because it had messages, it had meaning. Even Grandmaster Flash's, the message, it still relates to things that are going on today. And these kids have to turn it around and get it, and so our youth can move in the right direction. And you know, we have the most powerful voice in the music industry. We need to put it to some good use. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Because it's true what he said.
Right.
100% right. The music, I'm gonna be honest with you, the music they play now, I can't stand it.
Right.
I won't even listen to it.
Right.
I listen to music back from the 50s to the 70s.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I think one of the main problems is not so much the fact that of what they're talking about, but how they got to that point. The time period you're talking about, the people coming out of the community was part and parcel to the community.
True.
Whereas the message today is about the individual not being a part of the community. What matters now is cars and women and bling and materialists. But there's and a separation of themselves from the community structure. You talked about like coming out in the parks and the old people was with the young people and you playing music. You were still part of a total community, a black community. I think we somehow
It wasn't just old people coming with our community.
Right.
It was also people out of the community would come.
Okay, all right.
You understand?
I like that.
It was people with, like, okay, we was in the Soundview area.
Right.
You would get people coming from Quad City.
That is true.
You would people coming from Charlotte.
That is true.
You know, not only young people.
That is true.
You understand?
So it was a total inclusiveness.
Right. You know, and that's what they liked. They truly liked about that.
Right.
You know? But you can't get that today.
Right. When did that happen? How did that happen?
When did it happen?
Yeah, when did it? When did it go from this inclusive celebration of culture and art, you know, and to this thing where it's just me. When?
I think it started in the 80s.
Yeah, I kind of think you're right.
in the 80s.
I kind of think you're right.
Because everything like went off whack,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It was about me.
Right,
Me.
right,
Like he said, the whole business and all that.
right, right,
You know, it wasn't
Right,
back then.
right.
Say the late 80s.
right,
You understand? Because you still had that good music
Right.
in the early 80s.
right,
You know? Where it was like uniting,
right,
where people could really enjoy and party.
right,
Then all of a sudden, like say 88, 89, all that,
Right.
it was about me. Hey, yo, hey, this.
right.
I got this. Can you
Right.
get it?
Right.
That's how it all, you know, I
Yeah,
figured in the
yeah,
late 80s.
yeah, yeah.
And
Hello.
Hi, Carly. If you're on the air, just chime in. Make sure your TV is turned all the way down.
Okay, I wanted to know who were some of the founding members of the Black Spades, and did they have a name before the Spade? How many members, or who were the founding members of the Black Spades, and who were some of the original hip hop artists who came out into these parks and played with Mario? And I'll let you answer that.
oh, okay. It was 7 of us. It was 7 of us that started this. We started the gang in 67. In 67, we was all in junior high school, you know, and we all got tired of couldn't go this way, couldn't go this place, couldn't go that place, because the Caucasians wouldn't let us do it. So we got tired of it.
Who were the 7?
I know the 7, but I don't want
Okay.
to say the
All
7.
right. All
You know, I was one of the 7.
right.
That's good enough for you.
Right.
You know, it was friends of mine from the neighborhood.
All right. All right.
You know, and like I was saying to you, we just got tired of we couldn't go here, we couldn't do it because you know, Caucasian people wouldn't let us do that. We just got tired of it. So we said, let's organize something. And one of us that was a Muslim at the time is the one who really organized us. It wasn't about beating this person up over here and all that. We just wanted to go places where we wanted to go. Not to force to go there. We just wanted to go there. And we couldn't go like Riot Playland up in Co-op City. Couldn't go there.
How'd you come up with the name Black Spades?
Well, first, it's funny. We were playing spades at the time. We were playing spades at lunchtime in school, And the person that really brought up the gang is the one that said, we wasn't choosing names and Black Panthers or Black Five Fingers and all that. We just said, we were playing spades, so let's call ourselves the Black Spades.
All right.
And like I said, it was 7 of us. And from there, we just evolved,
Right.
you know?
How did y'all meet Mario?
Mario was there.
Oh, he was one of the 7. Or he was part of
he
your
was part of
community.
it.
All
Right.
All
Right.
right.
Mario had just came from down south, like I said.
Right.
He was a friend of ours,
Right.
cousin,
Right.
that was there when we started it.
Right.
You understand? A friend of ours that we all grew up together. Mario's the cousin of that person.
Right.
And like I said, Mario got into it, but his brother didn't.
Right.
And that's how we started.
Now, there's a group of y'all, and you come up with this name, Black Spades, and Mario's part of the community, and Mario's into music. How did he start doing the turntable music stuff? Were you like throwing parties with the girls in the community, or dances, or how did that evolve?
Okay, I'm glad you said that. How that happened, like I said, Mario would walk around on a little radio, dancing, and he'd be dancing, and the elderly people would like that.
Right.
They would
right.
see, oh, Mario dancing, listening, playing that music all loud.
Right.
So like I said, he started to say him, Spanky, and Tex. These were the 3.
Right.
They got some, like I said, bull jive turntables, and some little stupid little mixer they got. They conjured up whatever they did.
Right.
Then he started playing music, and it started, like I said, evolving,
Right.
you know. And he started playing music. And like I said, this gang, we still we still had the gang.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And we would carry records with Mario for Mario.
Right.
We would know what a gang member would do.
Right. Right.
We would all chip in.
Right.
Like I said, but we didn't have money to rent a center or something like that. Our lady friend did that. Because she see where we was going with it. Instead of us getting into mischief and all that, why not let me lend them the money to rent a center.
So you actually rented a center and like through dances
We
doing
put out flyers.
What were some of the first records that you guys would like
We would play
spin on?
slow music,
Uh-huh.
fast music, James Brown,
James Brown, okay.
Ball of Confusion.
Right.
You know,
right,
there's 69 and all
Right,
music,
right,
69.
right.
Delphonics,
Oh, all right.
Shy Lights,
Right.
The Moments.
Right.
You know, we play music like that. Then
Right.
we started mixing
Right.
the fast music.
That
And they go right
stuff.
there you go.
Yeah.
And go right into for fast music, and go right into slow music.
Oh, I got you.
See?
So it was like so the turntables provided this
mixture.
non-stop mixture of music,
Right,
which
there
was
you go.
much different from because we used to play a record and take it off,
Take
play
it all
another
up.
record.
But see, all he had to do was switch it over.
Right.
Put a little thing on his head,
Right,
switch it over,
right,
and blend it right in.
Right.
You know, you be dancing slow, don't say you dance fast. Dance
right,
slow, dance fast. He came up with all that. We knew nothing about that.
That's more so much that now when you burn CDs from the computer will ask you how much of a gap you want on it, whether you want it to be continuous or you want a second delay or
and all that.
Yeah. So
like, you know, and to answer that man's question, you know, like I said, it was 7 of us. And all of a sudden, we started getting big. You know, we started getting big. First it was 7, then it was 50, then it was 75, then we just got big. But back from 69 to like 73, 74, we were the largest gang on the East Coast.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it wasn't all about, there was misconception of us fighting, robbing and stealing. That wasn't us.
Right.
All we did was protect our community.
Well, see, that's pretty much the exact same thing that was related when Chocolate, when they were talking about the Black Spades here, that it was more, and it actually is like, although we didn't have like names and whatnot, it's the same premise of like being from a certain block and you hang out in your block. It wasn't like we were aggressively bothering people. It's just that you couldn't come to go to somebody else's block, starting no stuff, bothering anybody or hurting anybody, and not get like resistance from the
people in the community.
Right, from the people in the community.
You know, and we just got big. We just got larger and larger. You know, and all we did was give parties. And other gangs would break up and join us.
Now, one of the things that I'm really impressed with was the humility of the people who started this stuff. That, for all intents and purposes, it was about community. It was about finding ways to make something beautiful out of something that was designed to be right. That was bad. Right.
And we just, I mean, you know, back in the say, okay, me and you're 4 years older than me. You ought to know. Back then, you couldn't even go over here unless you was called some kind of name.
Right.
You know, we got tired of that.
Right.
You understand? We got tired of it. So it ain't that we intentionally did it. We just knew our places. We can go. Why can you go where you want to go? We can't.
Right.
You understand? They were trying to humiliate us in school.
Right.
You know, humiliate us the best way they can.
Right.
But we just got tired of it.
Right.
So we just put a stop to it.
Right.
That's all we did is put a stop to it. Where a black reporter, we can go here. They can go there. I mean, they would say it, but underneath their breath. They wouldn't say it out loud like they used to.
Can we get back to the beauty of who we like were? Because, like I said, there was a humility to it. Like, in spite of it all, it wasn't about having more than everybody else. As a matter of fact,
it wasn't that.
Matter of fact, I remember growing up, you know, like you get a soda in the bag of potato, you had to save people something because everybody be drinking out your soda and spitting the damn potato chips all in your soda. You had to save you something, you know. But there was a humility that people just wanted to like enjoy themselves, maybe get a little job where they could like feed their family, pay their rent. You know, it wasn't this thing that it has become that is like, I am great, everyone else is nothing.
No,
is there a way we can get back to who we have always been as opposed to what we have slowly morphed into? We've become more and more like the thing that has tried to destroy us from day one.
See, I'm glad you said that because we never thought we were better than.
Right.
If one of us didn't have it, we made sure that person had it.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
We wasn't selfish.
Right. And then do we got a call? All right. Oh, okay, cool, got it. I'm sorry. You know, keep going.
We wasn't selfish. We would help each other out. You know? If one of us didn't have it, couldn't go to a movie, whatever, we were all, this is our partner, this is our man.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
We would never thought we was better than.
Right.
Or we just wanted to have the same amount of the next person.
Right.
You know, one of us had a job,
right.
The other person might have had a job.
I know. Right.
And that's the thing about it. We brought up, well, I say like this, some of us brought up like Leave It to Beaver. You know? We all came from good neighborhoods, but it's always the way you make your neighborhood. And we try to make our neighborhood the best way we could. And by me saying that is where we all couldn't have the same thing, we tried to have the same thing.
Right.
We wasn't selfish.
Right.
You know? So when we made up the gang,
right.
We did that for a reason.
Right.
It's because we can go here, we can do this, we can do that. Like I said, why could they do it? We couldn't.
Right.
Like we was getting stepped on.
Right.
We were tired of getting stepped on.
Right.
So we stepped back.
Right.
But we did it the right way.
Right.
We did it the right way.
Right.
We wasn't liked because a lot of people got misconception of what we were doing. Until they found out, well, they really ain't that bad. And then they started accepting us. Other neighborhoods started accepting us. That's why they started joining us.
Now, let me say this. My introduction to the Black Spades per se on a personal level is that a lot of the things that and it goes back to what you're saying now, a lot of the things that are occurring right this moment, where it's like people of humble means. I'm not talking about like rich people, like you wait till you damn near a billionaire and you start giving to this charity and everybody loves you, gives you awards, you know, whoop-de-doo, and you write it off in taxes. I'm saying that on a grassroots level, a lot of the people that I know of that have become like Panthers or like people who are like handing out coats in the street and helping people like find housing. A lot of those people who cannot afford to pay their own rent and take care of their own families are like working in the communities to try to find ways to help other people. A lot of those people I found out are Black Spades.
Yeah.
You know, today, I'm talking about in the year 2014.
You're right.
And that became my fascination with the Black Spades. You know, a lot of people who I respect tremendously, you know, are Spades and Zulu Nation members who came out of the Spades and Panthers who came out of the Spades. So that was my beginning into my fascination with the Black Spades. Not so much the hip hop thing, which is significant because it was a cultural shift in the black community coming from the urban community that came out of New York City. You know, it didn't come out of Cali.
No, it came out of here.
Right, it
came from here.
It didn't come from
it
the
came from the South Bronx.
Right, the South Bronx by way of the Dirty from Mario.
Yeah, that's where it came from. Like you said, it wasn't about it came from Cali.
Right.
Or from Houston.
Right.
It came from an area, the South Bronx, where it was burnt down.
Right.
Where nothing was there.
Correct.
Nothing.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct.
Where we try to build something up.
Correct.
Which we did build it up. And other people stole it.
Right.
And now look, where's all that now?
Right.
Like we was never heard of.
Right. But they had a plan. Because now you're hearing about all the communities, but all the communities have been gentrified. They wait, like I said, they waited decades until they could gentrify whole communities. They never actually resurrected communities with and for the people who were in the communities the whole time. Mm-hmm. You know, and you see this phenomenon happening in the Bronx now. The Bronx is being gentrified. Brooklyn is being gentrified. The Lower East Side, which is now the East Village, has been gentrified. Right. Harlem is being gentrified. Jersey is being gentrified.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
You know, communities that have been starving communities, begging for justice, are now like the playland of mega rich white folks.
Right.
But you're right. One of the biggest things about the reputation of the Bronx was the desolation of it. It wasn't just like the ruggedness of the people, but they had the Bronx was one of the more desolate boroughs in all of New York. I mean, they really allowed the Bronx to get bombed completely out.
It was like a war zone.
It was a war zone. It was a war zone.
It wasn't a building that wasn't burnt.
Right.
If you see one building that was good, 10 of them was burnt.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
But see, now that everything is, like you said, it's rebuilt.
Right.
And the Bronx is beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I checked it. Yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah. And like I said, the hip hop. I don't see hip hop. I see the music.
Right.
Came from us.
Right.
We were the birthplace of it.
Right.
We were the, say, the father, the mother, the grandfather, the aunts, the uncles.
The Africa.
That's it.
The Africa.
We were the Africa of it.
Right.
And for certain individuals not to give a certain man the recognition, I think it's wrong.
Right.
I mean, the man is gone.
Right.
But I mean, show the man a little respect. It's not bad. It's not bad to show the man a little respect. Because you did cut it from him.
We got like less than 2 minutes left, about a little less than 2 minutes before we like have to close this out. You wanted to extend an invitation to
yes, I would like Bambaataa, Cool Herc, Cool D, sit down with me and let them really tell the truth. Because I could tell you if they lying or not.
Right. Well, let me say that I would happily extend the facilities of Eminem, my show, my producers, anything we're involved in to bring this about, because more than anything else, we want to establish a place that we can come together as community and as people to bring truth to the situation of history and evolve into what we're supposed to be. So I extend myself to facilitate any of that, anytime, any place.
Anytime, any place.
All right.
there if you want me.
All right. So if the winds of TV land can send a message to
Bambaataa,
Bam and herc and
Cool D,
right.
they're welcome.
They are welcome.
More welcome.
We're gonna make this thing better than it was.
Fat Mike, alias Michael Wayne now, is giving them a good invitation.
We're about ready to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank my guest, Fat Mike, for coming in. Cold hands, warm heart. We will see you next week. Track 3 on the CD is my closing. If I didn't tell you guys, I'm telling you now. We're live, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's always a dynamite show. There we go. We out of here. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. Thank you.